So Christmas shopping
Yeah.
has been both a success and a failure.
I'm in the same place.
Well, I say that. Basically, the other day I went into a shop to get something for my brother and left with something for me.
Oh, yeah, that happens.
You know the story.
Yep, classic.
You know, it's that old story. You go into a shop to get your brother something My Hero Academia related, and you leave with a 1998 Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie pinball machine. It's the oldest Christmas story in the book. Older than the Bible.
I just love that your life leads you to going into the kind of business that would sell both My Hero Academia merch and that pinball machine.
Right?
Like, I don't know of any shop cool enough I could walk into where those were both options available to me.
Yeah. Oh, you've got to go to sunny Dewsbury. We've talked about Dewsbury on the podcast before. That's where the rebirthed babies were, and all the other just ridiculous shit that goes on in Dewsbury. But yeah, there's this comic book, it's like, yeah, sort of comics and toys shop in Dewsbury, which the name of which I cannot remember right now. And it's got the best stuff in it. I got those Mad Balls, the Mad Balls popping head figures from there. And I went in there because I figured there'd be some anime shit. My brother likes anime shit. Found a really good thing there. They got Warhammer stuff, so I was able to get something for someone else. Went upstairs where all like the old toys are and found obscure stuff that I remember seeing as a kid, but I don't even know what it is. Like skeletons that turn into eggs using their own rib cages. Brilliant. And they had up there like these like small slot machines about the size of a maybe like an old tube television, a Gamera slot machine and something else. And that caught my eye and I asked the man about it. And I was very excited about that. That quickly disappeared from my mind as I was leaving the shop. Somehow I walked past this. And I've been in that shop more than once. And I've managed to, every single time, realise that what I walked past was not a countertop, but a full-size pinball machine based on the 1998 Matthew Broderick classic, Godzilla. And asked the man about it. Like, he saw. He watched me just slow my roll as I was ready to make my other purchases, and my eyes just dart. And I looked at Phoenix, and Phoenix realised what had happened. And the man turned it on. And I heard Matthew Broderick's rich Christmas puddingy voice. And it worked, and it was brilliant. And it was, here's the kicker, it was the exact, and I mean exact, same amount of money I got for writing for Vampire Survivors. And I explicitly did not want that Vampire Survivors money to go where all of my other money goes, into taxes and unforeseen debt bullshit. So I made a call. At which point, Fee made a call to their parents because their dad's got a flatbed. And the first thing Fee said was, "Dad, it happened again."
Yep, that's right, yeah.
So that's what living with me is like. It happened again.
Look, I'm gonna stand behind you on this in that I am a big believer that if you do a cool, unexpected work thing that's like, this is a cool thing I did that is like a little life moment, spend that shit on something that's fun for you, that is not like you've got to have the thing where it's like, I have this because I did a cool thing.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. And in fairness, Fee has been incredibly supportive, which is good because I've been in other relationships where I was made to feel very guilty about sort of treating myself and having access to my own money. So
yeah,
Fee's always been very good about that and encouraging me to not feel like I have to apologise to them for spending my money. So Fee was very excited for me, actually. And we've just got to arrange getting it from the shop. I reckon I'm going to replace the tat shelf behind me with that and the other pinball machine I got, if it'll fit. So my stream background will have them in the background and it'll look awesome.
And then it's a write-off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anything I buy in that realm is useful.
Yep.
From a work perspective, so that it does help. But yeah, it was a nice way of transforming the money so that it didn't get lost because I am very good at getting manipulated into losing money. But I can't lose a Godzilla pinball machine. It's too big. I'm not going to misplace that behind the couch, am I?
It'd be tricky.
It speaks with Matthew Broderick's salty voice. So yeah, that's been good. I've got everyone sorted for Christmas now, I reckon. It's the first year in about 15 years that I'm seeing my blood relatives for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I'm doing hosting Christmas, which is actually the first time ever. Hosting Christmas here, Christmas Day, because I've got my tag team partner Priscilla coming over and our mutual friend Echo.
Oh.
So just going to have a nice little gay Christmas day. Then I'm heading down south to spend time with the family. I don't know what they do at Christmas now that my grandparents have passed, so that's going to be interesting. I'm guessing they're going to drink and watch TV, which I'm fine with. And that's my Christmas plans. What about you two? What got anything planned for the Yuletide?
My plans boil down to not work, have some sleep, do some not work.
That is brilliant. That is the best plan.
Right, that's the plan. I'm looking forward to. So far the plans include eat a lot of food, maybe play some D&D with some friends that I sometimes see for board gamey things, and do a lot of nothing. Just a lot of nothing.
Yeah, I can respect that. Lord knows you work so hard the rest of the year that you doing nothing is the best idea I've heard for you.
I don't do it often, but the last couple of years since I moved in with Jane, I've tried to be good about, like, festive period, have a couple of weeks where there is as little work as possible.
Yeah.
And then, inevitably 2023 will arrive and I will just hit the ground running and go, work. But, like, there'll be a little bit of time where I stopped, kinda.
Yeah.
God, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of my year is just, like, I have so much shit to get done before the year ends.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but we're gonna go visit Linda's family for Christmas. We'll head up at the end of the week here and spend a couple days, and that'll be pleasant. It's a lot of fun, and her mom really, like, cooks, so that's good. I will just wind up with terrible heartburn and quite pleased with myself. Actually, I'm having a great morning.
Yeah?
This morning. I'm having a really great morning. I got up, and in my routine is I get up, I use the toilet, I start the coffee.
Yeah.
Then I have a cigarette. Tater gets fed. Tater gets fed before the coffee. Tater gets fed, I start the coffee, I go have a cigarette, I come back in, I wash up the dishes, empty or clean his box, and then, begin my work day. Because by that point, the coffee's usually done. And so I am preparing the coffee today, and I have the carafe sat on the side of the sink and the water running into the carafe as I'm filling the drip coffee maker with a coffee filter and grounds, when I hear a crash behind me, and it's my carafe for my coffee maker has fallen into the sink and shattered.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep. No, it's a great morning. It's a great morning. You know why it's a great morning?
Mm-hmm.
Because 3 years ago when we bought this replacement coffee maker, which was exactly the same style as the last coffee maker that just had the, heating element burn out on it,
yeah,
my ex-wife said to me, "Do we need to keep this old carafe?" And I said, Yes, we do. We're going to continue to use the old carafe, and we're going to keep the new carafe in this drawer as a spare for when we inevitably break the carafe. And she thought I was nuts. But you know what? I have coffee this morning.
Payback. Oh, that's brilliant. Nothing like long-term vindication.
Well, yes, that's it exactly. The better, I don't mind that I had to clean up the bits of broken glass out of my sink because I was right.
You were right. There's a lot I would go through to prove I'm right. a lot.
There's a lot I would go through if I was right about everything that I thought, and it would be very, very bad. And I am right a lot. but yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's my morning. Should we talk about video games?
Yeah.
I mean, probably.
It has been 11 minutes, so I feel like we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't even been like shepherding us into doing the talking because it's end of the year.
That's right. You don't want to work. You're doing nothing.
I've run out of shepherding energy. Who's played something this week? Who's done it?
I think we all finished High on Life, which is unusual for.
I found a box that makes a Zelda noise
Yeah.
by accident.
Yeah.
I've had it for years. How old is Hyrule Warriors, the original? On Wii U.
Oh gosh, like
it's got to be what 2015.
Yeah, it's got to be 6, 7, 8 years, somewhere in that range.
I've had a box that looks a replica Zelda treasure chest from Hyrule Warriors that opens and it makes the noise. It makes that noise.
Oh yeah.
I've had it for about 6 or 7 years.
And you've never opened it to make the noise?
Well, I bought this Hyrule Warriors treasure box. It's a thing Tecmo Koei do, where it's just got the game and like it's basically a collector's edition, but it's got all sorts of like random crap in it.
Right.
And I got it because it has Link wears a scarf in Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah.
This really fetching blue scarf. And I got it for that predominantly. And I think maybe at the time I registered there was some box in it. But I never paid much attention to it until not too long ago, like last week, I was playing, I was on stream and going through some collector stuff and I was like telling everyone, oh, I've got this scarf. So I dug out the box, brought it over, got out the scarf, then saw this and opened it up and I was like, there is something in here that looks like a battery compartment. And it had the little plastic tab in it. And I pulled the tab and it started going. It's been in there for nearly like 7 years about. And it works.
So I've just checked the maths. It's 8 years.
8 years.
8 years ago the original game came out.
8 years I've had this sat in there and it works perfectly. Sorry to derail it, but I caught it out the side of my eye and I'm like, oh, I've got to mention this.
It's a Christmas miracle, and
Right?
I think we can all appreciate.
Just a complete surprise.
And a out of nowhere and surprisingly lengthy story falls right in to the general, overall feel of High on Life.
Oh, yeah.
I did not expect myself to play this until the end. I thought I would fall off before finishing it.
Yes, I also thought I would fall off before finishing it. I also thought the ending might be a little bit less abrupt, but
Oh, the ending is so shit.
yeah.
It's not just abrupt, it's shit.
Are you aware there is more than one ending to it?
I did not know, but that doesn't surprise me.
I've been made aware there is an entirely separate ending
Yeah?
that is a little more lengthy.
Oh, I ain't gonna play any more to find it.
No, there is a hidden secret ending that changes what the ending is, and I'm not going to say it's better or that it explains anything, but there is an ending that definitely has a different amount of context.
I mean, the last level in general is shit. Like, first of all, it's the same as the rest of the game, and then the final boss is, like, the bosses are all samey throughout.
Yes.
And then the final boss is basically, like, it just does shit the other bosses do, but slightly more bullet helly.
Yeah, I did not care for that boss really at all. Like it wasn't even that it was hard. It was just annoying more than anything else.
Yeah, it's irritating.
The one preceding it with the 3 that stack, I also found to be really bad is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because of the build up to it.
Oh, that one, yeah.
You know, the first encounter you have, and he just does that pound thing constantly, and you're like, oh god, this is just tedious.
Mm-hmm.
You have one move. This enemy has one move, and it's obvious it's because he's part of a larger whole boss, and you're going to make me fight each of these moves?
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. So, see, now this conversation that we're having is making me, like, actually think about the thing that I did instead of just being stoned and watching the pretty colors and poop jokes. But I will say, in the defense of that last level, it does have the one laugh out loud moment in this game for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. The two people that you love most.
Oh, yeah.
It was okay. Yeah, that was okay, Goof.
I did not see it coming. I had a full other conception in my head.
Yeah.
Because of how predictable and... Yeah, predictable's the word I'm looking for this plot. And when that happened, and they had it, and you know, and the people involved did their thing, and it's those people, because one of them makes absolute sense to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other one
really is out of left field.
Yeah, and it is DTF, don't get me wrong, I know that they will do something fun for the sake of doing something fun.
But they're not the one you think of when you're thinking of a person who would do that.
Absolutely not.
High on Life, the way we've talked about High on Life last week compared to this one, is very interesting to me as a game reviewer. And predominantly a game reviewer that has had to deal with very angry fans that get very annoyed about video game reviews for a long time.
Sure.
One of the biggest things that gamers like to do to undermine a review they don't like is to find out how much the reviewer played and whether the reviewer finished it.
Yeah.
This is a big debate. I've been very sort of stuck to my guns for a long, long time that I do not believe. You have to explicitly beat a game to be able to review it.
Yep.
You know, if you eat a sandwich full of shit, you don't have to munch down to the very last bite to know you're eating a shit sandwich.
As someone who wrote a review for Polygon of a VR game in which I acknowledge I did not complete that game because it made multiple people in the same household too violently ill to even play it by passing the headset back and forth. Like, okay, when one person gets ill, you pass it to the next so you can have a break. Couldn't even get through it that way.
Yeah.
You don't have to finish a game to review it.
No. And they only ever get annoyed, of course, over this idea if the review is negative.
Yes.
For example, I believe it was IGN that admitted that Final Fantasy XIII, when they reviewed it quite positively, they never played the third disc because it didn't work.
Yeah.
Fair enough, but no one was annoyed at them. Meanwhile, I say I got to the last boss, got pissed off and stopped, and I'm in the shit for not completing games. And here's where it's just so completely backwards and such a stupid thing, and kind of evidence that they are just reaching to discredit it because they're too much, they're too big a bunch of intellectual cowards to admit and accept that someone just doesn't see the world they see. You compare the way I spoke about High on Life last week compared to my review of it and the sort of tone of my voice as we talk about it now. If you play a bad game for hours, what makes you think that more of the same is gonna make you like it more? That's High on Life, and that is so many other games I've played where sometimes I'm like, maybe I should stop now just to be fair to the game, because my opinion is gonna get lower even though the game's staying the same. I'm going to resent this game for having to play through to the end of it. I am going to get more annoyed than perhaps is even fair on the game if I have to keep exposing myself to these same issues that are driving me up the fucking wall. I do not only do you not have to beat a game to be able to review it negatively, I actively believe it works against the game to resentfully, under duress, plow your way through, and it works. It's exactly the opposite of what the Gamers TM should actually be arguing.
So, I feel a little differently about High on Life in how... When I say that, like, I'm surprised I finished it, it's not that I go, I resent that game, or that the more time I put into it, the more I dislike it. The way I kind of feel about it is, I constantly expected, like, on paper, I would say the joke is very one note and it doesn't go anywhere, and I expected that to be enough of a problem that I would put it down, and then I just kept sticking with it. And I was trying to talk to Jane last night about what this game was doing for me. And I think she put it really well, where she was like, back in the day, she used to do a thing where she would play a bunch of different kinds of nondescript noise overlapping each other. So like white noise, some sort of like some static, some rain noise, lots and lots of different sensory inputs over each other, and there's no way you can be paying attention to all of them at once.
It's an ADHD thing. You just need the stimulation. Yeah, I do the same sometimes.
Yeah, it's the ADHD thing. It's that, like, I am seeking just so much input that my brain kind of short circuits and I stop thinking. And that's kind of what I have found myself enjoying out of this game, is that, like, I try and compare this to, like, other stuff that I've recently gone through. And, like, Season 1 of the animated Star Trek show Lower Decks felt very similar to High on Life, in that we're going to throw so many things at you with so little breathing room that your brain just stops trying to critically think. And as someone who does criticism as a job, and genuinely has reached a point where, like, I can't uncritically enjoy things the way I used to, High on Life is the kind of game that throws so much stuff at me that, at least while I'm playing it, my brain isn't in critic mode. And afterwards I stop and go, yeah, no, that wasn't good. But at the time, I was just like, yeah, the sensory input, yeah, I'm having a good time with a lot is happening at me.
And there's something to be said for that. Because from my perspective, while I can certainly acknowledge that lots of other games do a lot of the things that High on Life does, but better, you know, like I like the movement in High on Life, generally speaking, especially the aerial movement.
Huh.
I like that the swing feels to me like it has an adequate amount of control. Nothing is too fast for me.
Right.
Because if it's too fast, then I'll flail. So I feel like I am in control when I'm doing these things. And while I recognize that there absolutely have to be games that do this better, I haven't played those. And I likely never will, because I'm not necessarily a big first-person shooter fan. And so I think that one thing that this game can suffer from also is a lot of exposure to a lot of the other games that it's cribbing from.
Yeah.
I know that the health restoration mechanic is a Doom rip, right?
Yeah.
You know, with the executions and you get it back. Now, what I like is the inversion of the health and shield mechanic, which is not something I have personally seen some in another FPS. I'm sure it's been done. But I think it's interesting that it's your health that is on the regen, but your shield is the thing that you have to pick up more of. I don't know. I think it makes combat interesting in a way that I'm so used to, oh, okay, well, great. Now I'm screwed because my health has gone down and I'm waiting for my shield. For some reason, it makes me think of it in a different context when it's the shield that I'm picking up and goes away in segments.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the perspective shift, just how it changes priorities.
Yeah.
I know I've seen it before. I'm almost certain.
Oh, I'm sure it's been done before.
But here's where both the things you've brought up sort of feed into what finally turned my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about it a lot in the review I wrote. Because, you know, a lot of people talk about just the sheer flurry of sensory input it throws at you, just the obnoxiousness, the noise, the shouting, the screaming. And then you, Conrad, talk about the lack of originality or the fact that other games have done it better. What really finally turned it for me was when I realised just how much the first thing was covering for the second thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The game, and not just insofar as it's yelling jokes at you so you don't notice how unoriginal it is. It's the fact that the jokes and
joke?
what the jokes are about.
You mean the joke?
Yeah.
Well, it makes you think. It inadvertently, on their part, makes you think about what isn't there because it keeps referencing what isn't there.
Yes.
I mentioned in my review my favourite joke in the game, and I'll quickly go over it here. My favourite joke in the game is the penultimate boss mentions switching controller ports
Oh,
to beat him,
yeah.
and then says, oh, controller ports aren't a thing anymore. That's my favourite joke.
I think I know what you're going to say next, though.
It didn't make me laugh. It's not funny, but here's why it's my favourite joke. Because that explicitly framed what my problem with High on Life is. Because what it did was reference. It didn't do anything interesting with the medium of video games, but it referenced a game that did.
Mm-hmm.
It pointed at another game and said, do you remember when that broke the fourth wall? Do you remember when that acknowledged it was a game? And did so in a way that explicitly messed with you as a player. Not only did it encapsulate how High on Life talks about other games doing things that it itself never does, the joke itself was done by Metal Gear Solid 4 when it recreated and contextualized the Psycho Mantis fight in a new, interesting way. It failed. It made a joke about its own failure to do something another game did, and the joke itself wasn't original, having been taken from a later game in that series during a boss fight where that sequel game did something new. And that's the problem with High on Life. It has no ideas of its own, but it wishes it did, and it points out all the other games that had the ideas it wished it had.
It doesn't stop there, though, Steph. It doesn't end there, because then it has to do the High on Life thing, which is in the next segment of that boss fight where you are fighting it, it makes another Psycho Mantis joke.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that as well.
Yeah.
Because it can't just make the joke. It has to make the joke dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know what it is? It doesn't want anybody else to have its jokes, so it's murdering them all.
But yeah, that's its own issue. Just to focus just a little bit more on sort of the crux of what I'm getting at. This game has no ideas. It has none. It's not just about that game did something better. This game has nothing. And it doesn't even have enough stolen ideas. You've got 4 guns, not counting what you get in the final mission.
Yeah.
And they are boring. They're not like wacky, fantastical alien weapons. The closest one gets is the Glove of Doom from Ratchet and Clank.
Which, you know what? Creature is the best.
Yes, he's the best.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about in terms of function. Fuck his function. I wouldn't actually want to use any of these guns except for Kenny, unfortunately. And Kenny is annoying as fuck.
Oh.
And third act, Kenny is kind of satisfying.
Yeah.
It's kind of satisfying, Kenny, in the third act, because you've been walking around with fucking Kenny for the first 2.
Oh, that's the thing. You spent hours with a pistol.
Yeah.
With a plinky-plonky pistol.
But it is still the most effective weapon in the game because it's got, a little bit of aim assist.
It's got aim assist so it can actually hit the tiny little things that skitter about. The second gun you get is the worst gun from Halo. Not even a good one. It's the Needler. And that's got the highest damage output, but it's got no accuracy.
And it doesn't even seek the way the Needler does.
No. I mean, now we're getting into the it does stuff worse, which, yeah, we should touch on more.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to encapsulate that thing of it's so bereft, and it promises so much, and the promise. You can't necessarily review a game based on what it's not. You have to review what it is.
Sure.
But
yeah,
this game sets you up and sets itself up for a fall. Because once you strip away the noise it makes, you realize how much that noise is covering for the lack of ideas.
Oh, entirely it is. Yeah. What if we had like a somewhat polished presentation on a thing that was very rushed, and we just put someone in a voice booth so you don't notice how much we're papering over.
And when so much of that noise is about the video game knowing it's a video game, it has to do something with that knowledge. It can't just keep saying it's a video game, because by the end of it, you sit there wondering, well, if you know you're a video game, why are you doing nothing with that fact? Why are you not surprising me? It breaks the fourth wall, but we have had years of games like Metal Gear Solid, like Nier, games that actually use the fact they're interactive entertainment to entertain interactively. And when the most fun I have with High on Life is sitting on a couch watching Tammy and the T-Rex, I think that also is a perfect encapsulation of the problem. You are there like you're playing the first Homefront game. Your job is to watch it, listen to it, not engage with it. There's not enough to engage with. Most of the NPCs stand there statically. You don't have fun interactions with that game. You have fun listening experiences.
I will argue that it has one thing that it wants to be a video game in one explicit way, and one way only, which is, oh, this is rude and dirty, you're gonna be complicit because you're gonna have to interact with it. Ooh. Like, I'm very specifically thinking of the connect the pipes between these two gentlemen that exist scene. It's the we're gonna talk about it. You're gonna have to do it though. Oh, you're gonna have to do it. We're not just gonna. You're gonna have to do it though. Like, that's all it thinks that video games should be. Is, oh, you're gonna have to do the thing. Ooh.
Interestingly, you still talked about how it compounded the issue there, because what you said when you did the impression of the game was, we're gonna talk about it. That's what it does. It talks about it.
Well, that's what I mean, is when I say, like, when I say that I am being a little hyperbolic in that it is still, we're going to talk about a thing at you and talk and talk and talk, and your only interaction is so that we can go, oh, I can't believe you are present for us to the thing we talked about.
Yeah.
Like, that's the extent of it.
Yeah, like, obviously, if it wants you to pull the trigger on a character so that it can go, haha, you pulled the trigger. Yes, you do need that level of interaction. But, I mean, that's no different from everything else you do in the game. You're a passive observer that occasionally shoots stuff.
And then again, it's no different from I keep thinking about Trover Saves the Universe, the last big Justin Roiland game.
Yeah.
That had less gameplay, but it was still fundamentally your interactions with the world are, we're going to talk about a thing and we're going to suggest you shouldn't do it, or you should know not to do it, it's bad. Oh, you did it. Oh, like that's the relationship you have with the video game, is you have no choice but to do the thing. Ooh, we acknowledge that you did the thing. Anyway, back to talking.
Yeah.
I think the easiest way to sort of illustrate the kind of game that you are describing is like just the sheer amount of stuff that's on a screen talking at you there is in this game.
Oh my god.
You know?
Yes.
And not a lot of it is good.
I had an NPC yell at me and yell at someone else at the same time. It just played both audio files.
It's what if a whole game wanted to be that one moment from the Stanley Parable that only worked because it was a one-off of, will you stick around with this baby and this button for ages to see what happens? What if it was a whole game of stick around at the one thing for ages and then we'll go, oh, you did it for ages?
And I think one of the main issues is there's no reward for really doing that. And the game sets itself up, like I say, for a fall, in that when you first start playing it, it indulges in so much meta-humor and teases you with so much, you're going to do something wacky and it's going to make something happen. You think that's going to be the game.
Yeah.
And then it just isn't. It does that trick that you bring up, Laura, like maybe 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You listen to them natter, you pull a trigger or two, and then the game says, oh, I can't believe you did that. And you expect so much more. Right down to you expect interesting alien weaponry from, Solar Opposites writer Justin Roiland. You'd expect something a little more out of left field than a pistol, a shotgun, the Needler, and the Glove of Doom.
We live in a world where Saints Row 4 existed with the dubstep gun and the previous... It's like, in a world where that exists, you have to go quite far to be seen doing a wacky weapon, and being someone like a Justin Roiland, the expectations of what you will come up with as an exaggerated, over-the-top nonsense thing are higher than they would be for other games, I think.
Yeah, and to not just try that and fail, but to not try at all is pretty stunning to me. To not try, to just be like, here is a shotgun, it talks, that's enough, that makes it different, which it doesn't, because talking guns aren't even original.
Yeah, I can name a game I played 2 months ago that made a joke out of a talking gun, Tales from the Borderlands. That had a whole running theme of, here is one pistol that talks at you, that is a recurring character. Like, it's not even original this year.
No, and then you add that to everything else that where this game makes you think that it's gonna be big and interesting. It sets you up to hunt down members of this cartel across the galaxy. There are 2 planets, not counting the hub world. There are 2, and you keep going back, and they are small. That universe is so tiny.
I don't mind that. I like that. I always appreciate an economical use of geography in a video game. I am not bothered by 2 planets.
Hey, that's fine. I am. And I'm not bothered by that in every game I play. I'm bothered by that in this game. This game that doesn't give you any more than 4 guns until the final mission. This game that throws all this meta humor at you, but actually performs no meta action on its own part. This game that promises a galaxy-spanning adventure not only gives you 2 planets, but all the NPCs are basically the same alien. Like, it's the sheer lack of imagination is what truly gets me here.
And I can understand being frustrated by that. I'm willing to acknowledge, I acknowledge every single one of the faults discussed here as being not only valid, but very present. Like, I dispute none of it. That said, I did not give a shit about any of those problems while I was playing it.
This is what I was trying to get at, is like, Critical Brain right now, all of these are valid criticisms that I acknowledge and are things that should have been better. At the time I was playing it, I didn't care.
And I honestly still don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably going to, before, New Year's, boot High on Life back up, despite having finished it, because now I am a little bit curious about the second ending, but also I just kind of want to go around and get those chests I missed. I like the movement mechanics. One of the weird things about this game that I appreciated a lot is how, and I think this is also why I am not as upset about these things as perhaps Steph is that the game told me through its progression that it was going to undermine itself throughout this entire process. And it does so in such a fundamental way at such an early point in the game that I couldn't take anything else it was going to do seriously anyway. And that's the jetpack. And I'm grateful. I am appreciative of the jetpack, and when it arrives, it is very interesting. Now, the structure of the game is such that at the start you get to choose between 2 bounties, and which bounty you choose determines whether or not you get Sweezy next or Gus, right? Now, if you get Sweezy's ability is Time Portal, right? And, you won't need to use it in the Gus mission, but you will have it available, and when you see that one fan in the Gus area that you can access, it'll be like, oh, I can deal with that already. But conversely, if you got Gus first, you would immediately see walls that you could use Gus on in the other place. Now, because I didn't get Gus first, I saw those walls and I'm like, well, I'm going to get something to deal with that eventually. But I was seeing them all over the place and they were sticking in the back of my mind as a little annoyance, right? And then I get Gus. And it's like, oh, okay, I can go back and revisit all of those things. But then I go back home and I wind up with a quest to go get a jetpack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the jetpack renders Gus useless. Outside of one or two places in the later game where you need to use Gus specifically because your jetpack, even at its most upgraded, wouldn't reach the height that you need to, or the distance that you need to get to where you need to go, you're done with Gus, which is a shame because Gus is, of the three that you get before Creature, the most pleasant to listen to.
He's very tolerable.
Yes.
But I tell you what also mate, because I knew exactly what you were going to say, that the jetpack outclasses that. What makes that even worse is he's the shittest shotgun I've played with in a long time.
Yeah.
He has all of the drawbacks of a video game shotgun, but none of the advantages. He's got the low ammo capacity and the low rate of fire, but he's also got a really low spread and low damage. And the suction thing he does is also useless because it has a sort of, it's got weird floaty physics.
Yeah.
It doesn't pull enemies in front of you sharply. It lassos them and whips them so they go behind you and get a free shot at your fucking back. The one useful thing Gus has going for him is the ability to create platforms with his saw blades to embed in those holes.
Yes, exactly.
You get the jetpack and the one useful thing he does becomes obsolete.
Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That possibly is the worst shotgun I've ever seen in a first-person shooter. Possibly. I won't say definitely, but he's up there.
But when that happened, and when the game just basically empowered me to access everything in the two environments that it had exposed me to, pretty much, I was like, oh, all right, well, they fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take this ride as long as it entertains me. And it managed to entertain me through to the end.
Yeah.
I think I touched on this with the jetpack, just quickly. I do wish that the jetpack was foretold outside of a throwaway line you get at the end of a boss fight that I personally missed. And that the game didn't communicate for hours beforehand that if you don't see a visible thing like a glowing wall, you can explore and platform your way up to reach a chest. Because when I got the jetpack and realised that I'd spent 20 minutes trying to climb up a fucking building that had no way to get up it without it, I can't say I was thrilled. If only I had 4 talking guns that comment on everything I fucking do that could have mentioned it.
I mean, look, we said this last week. If those guns would just fucking tell you can't do this, stop trying.
They tell me everything else.
I feel like, and this, because I think it was a quest to get the jetpack, or there was something like, because it was pretty explicit to me that that's what I needed to do next when that came up.
Yeah, no, but I encountered unreachable chests
Oh, well, yeah.
way before I got that, and had already been taught by the game that I could platform my way up to chests if I don't see something obvious, like a glowing wall. There's no visual differentiator outside of trial and error, and spending a long time on it. There's no indicator which chests you can get right now, and which ones you need a jetpack for. A jetpack you might not know is coming because it hints at it in a throwaway line among all the other noise. So just my advice to anyone playing the game is like, don't bother. Don't bother getting chests unless you've got the gun that it's obvious you use for it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or you get the jetpack. Just don't fucking bother.
Yeah, that was the sort of my take on it. Was even though that I knew you could jump up to reach some stuff, if there was a, something that was clearly an indicator, like a vertical wall that would ultimately be for Gus, or one of those other, I like the mag boots. I thought that worked perfectly fine. Oh, okay, here's the other thing I liked. And this is not something that I normally even compliment in games, because I have a long running complaint about game writing. And to be clear, taken as a whole, the writing in this game is dog shit.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy the domestic drama with Lizzie and Gene and Tweak. I was very invested in the well-being of my sister being launched into this strange new universe.
Yeah.
I was very concerned about her relationship with Tweak, but supportive. I love how supportive Lizzie is of us. That stuff I enjoyed, and I was there for it.
I wanted to be.
I am
supportive
annoyed,
of-
however, because, sorry, I have to say this because this is an interruption, and it makes sense that it's an interruption because I keep getting interrupted by the Xbox app on my computer now with an achievement notification from this game that says, points, you've got points. I've gotten it 3 times today alone. It just happened.
What?
I cannot dismiss it. It will not stop happening.
I don't recall that. Weird.
Huh.
I've gotten it like 4 times while playing the game. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, I wish I could have enjoyed that because I see what you mean. Like, I quite like, in moderation, the humour of Solar Opposites writer Justin Roiland. But, you know, I mean, the main problem is it's a 15-hour game and it's too much of him. But I do agree. I like the sister character. And I wanted to be supportive of her, except the game ignored my choices and acted like I made the opposite choices.
Oh.
Like, I supported my sister, and then she starts chewing me out for supporting Jean, while Jean's like, thanks for having my back. And I'm like, what the fuck? There's quite a few glitches in this game.
The thing that frustrates me is that Justin Roiland is capable of writing things that I genuinely care about emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back to, for all of its problems, and there are definitely criticisms to be had of it, I really think that there is a lot of really good writing in Community, for example. And Community is one of those shows that I go back and look at and go, Justin Roiland is really capable, and I just wish the balance of the kinds of writing he does would be a little less all on this one end. Because he is capable of writing stuff that I find really engaging, and that's often not what he is invested in doing anymore.
Well, I think, you know, it's always worth remembering that a lot of his best work was with a team.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this last week. He's a writer that very much feels like he needs editors, and, like, I was thinking about this the other day. We've reached a point where I don't think he'll ever have an editor again, because Community was him working with a team.
Oh, Dan Harmon was Community.
Yeah, you're thinking. Yes, I was going to say. I was looking that up.
And Dan Harmon, I think, deserves a lot of credit for why Rick and Morty is good.
Why Rick and Morty is as good as it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
Yeah, no, you're right. Sorry, I had a moment there.
It's okay. No,
It's end of the year. I get a pass.
Solar Opposites writer Justin Roiland is
Yeah.
very good with Dan Harmon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dan Harmon doesn't necessarily need Solar Opposites writer Justin Roiland to get the most out of his work.
No.
Although both of them sort of benefit from team-based writing.
Yeah.
But those two together, very good. Roiland on his own,
Yeah.
spotty.
Yes. He is a useful tool in a writing team, and because he has been successful just doing the Rick and Morty thing, that is all he's ever going to be asked to do, I suspect, from now on, is the Rick and Morty thing.
I will also say, in general, the voice cast that is not Justin Roiland, which, you know, is they are well cast. They are good performances from talented performers. I mean, they're all, you know, known entities. This isn't some opportunity for additional people. These are celebrities doing voices, but they're well done.
Yeah.
The voice acting outside of Roiland's 2 voices in varieties of pitches are quite good, and I like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on the whole, I mean, I don't disagree with anything that's been said I've still had fun with it and will probably continue to have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah. I walk away from it going, I'm glad I played this game from start to finish, which is more than I expected. I didn't expect to go, yeah, I'm glad I played this whole video game.
I almost never finish a game.
It did not deserve this level of discussion.
And yet, here we are.
I mean, it was good discussion.
Well, yeah, I do think there's a lot to talk about. It's not deserving of it, but it has provided us with a great opportunity to sort of examine how this can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're like nearly an hour in and we've talked about High on Life. I don't have a huge amount to say about this, but if either of you, I know, Steph, you've done so. Conrad, have you played any of the Vampire Survivors DLC that came out?
I have not.
I really like, what is it called? It's Moonspell?
Moonspell.
Moonspell.
Yeah, Japanese sort of, I'm guessing sort of, what is it, Sengoku era.
Yeah, so here's how I would pitch this DLC to you, Conrad, is I saw this advertised as one additional map and some characters and items. And, it was described as, the biggest map Vampire Survivors has had. But in my head, when I hear additional Vampire Survivors map, what I hear is, it might be a big area, but it is going to be another, this is an endlessly scrolling tile set, that the enemies you are fighting is entirely dependent on where you are in the timer, etc. This is a fundamentally different kind of level for Vampire Survivors, and it feels like it's doing something very different in that it is one large environment that, rather than being endlessly repeating, has different zones and different areas, and different places you go will have different enemy types. For example, there are buildings that are enterable, that take you to other sort of interior locations, all mixed in with a big map that seems purpose-designed for facilitating playing around with the new item combinations, because a lot of the things you need for the new evolution upgrades are available to find as pickups in the new area. I would say that it is probably balanced to be more difficult than I would say a lot of other levels so far in Vampire Survivors had been, even if you have a very good build that by the end will be very strong, because I feel like it is balanced in such a way that you are getting more pressure put on you more quickly before you have a chance to start building up the good build. And together, I have really enjoyed that combination. I think it is for a couple of quid, a really nice little dose of some more stuff for Vampire Survivors.
Nice.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you on that. It's very, very robust, as one might expect for a game that had so many free updates. For them to sort of put out something you pay for, they put the extra spit and shine on it. I like the new characters. I'm not sure if I've got all of them, but I've picked up a fair few. And the new weapons are creative. I like the one that's sort of a little whirlwind of blossom that goes round you.
Yep. There's one that's basically just snowballs.
Yeah, I like the tanuki that has the beads that fly round it, and the one that creates doppelgangers behind it that freezes enemies. Really nice characters, all with that sort of interesting Japanese flavour, which just gives the whole game style something different.
Yeah.
When you've got the Castlevania aesthetic with a lot of those sort of rural Italian references, having this entire Japanese-themed gameplay and aesthetic is very good.
I think mechanically and aesthetically it does a decent job of making the DLC content feel distinct from the base game content.
Yeah.
It feels like it is there is no mistaking the fact I am playing the new stuff.
Yeah.
And it does that without fundamentally feeling like it's not Vampire Survivors. And I'm very okay with this. Like, it's not a hugely lengthy amount of time to see the new stuff, but it's a little dose of more things to do in a game that I didn't need more excuses to put more time into it. I've almost redone all of the unlocks in Vampire Survivors from scratch on mobile since the mobile port came out.
Nice.
I don't need another excuse to play more Vampire Survivors, but this was an excuse to do more of it.
Yeah, and it's all good. And I should point out for the listener, I didn't write the bestiary entries for the Moonspell DLC. Those monsters were not written up by myself. It's basically a timing issue as to why I, unfortunately, couldn't be involved with Moonspell. My involvement with Vampire Survivors is not necessarily done, though.
Yeah.
But I don't deserve any of the credit for the Moonspell ones. I only did the base game bestiary, and might be doing some other stuff in future. We shall see. But yeah, can't take credit.
As someone who's done video game adjacent things before, sometimes it's just a case of this thing needs doing on exactly this day for outside reasons.
Yeah, that was more or less it.
Video games move in weird ways because of all sorts of outside forces.
Yeah, and it's funny because Ponsel was kind of apologetic for that, and I'm like, you don't owe me a gig. Like, I understand. I never expected to do any more than I was sort of commissioned to do. But like I say, there's I'm possibly not done, and would love to return to doing some stuff for it. Absolutely. But yeah, I just don't want people crediting me necessarily with work I didn't do, because it's not fair.
Yeah.
Really, I'm proud enough of my stuff. I don't need praise for stuff I didn't do.
Yeah.
But yeah, very good DLC. It is weird though. Like, the bestiary felt like my baby. So it's strange. It's not bad, but it's like, it's weird. But from what I've seen so far, like, they carried on my style.
Yeah.
Which is fun. So that's been fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to potentially doing more.
Indeed. Did anyone play anything else this week they want to talk about?
I played more Potion Craft. Not much, but I do really, really like this weird map game that I'm playing. There is a level of precision that you can perform in manipulating the objects that I find very satisfying. And just to sort of give a little more explanation as to how it works, you're on a map, and you have a potion icon that represents where you are on the map. And you have a selection of herbs. Each of these herbs will draw a path on the map in a specific pattern. And there's a variety of different patterns, different distances, and they are segmented. Dropping the herb directly into the pot will take it to a point on the line that is an X. But using the mortar and pestle will progress that X further down the line to its final endpoint, which gives you control over how far you go down that path. But you can't just go directly, you have to use the path as created and figure out how you can use the forced length of reagents that you're going to be using, along with extending it to create the path to the very center of an effect on the map that you're going to make a potion with. And then when you add in an element that just draws your icon back towards the center of the map, you can really get some interesting ways of controlling your positioning. You can literally drag that path by simply stopping your stir and your potion's progression along it for, right in the middle of it, add some water and have the whole line track upwards in the direction of the center of the map to get around obstacles. Because there are these spaces in the map, if you touch them, your potion's destroyed, you wasted your reagents, and you're sent back to the middle of the map again. The level of control is so satisfying. You can just creep ever so slightly along that map, and it really wants you to get to the very, very middle dot of things because it's giving you such precision. It is very satisfying. It's hard to play a lot of at once because it does move so slow, but fascinating, and something that I could pick up and play for, an hour and then come back to another day, and it's just there. I don't feel like I've lost track of anything because all of the information I need to pick up where I left off is on the map, or in the room next door. So yeah, I'm enjoying potion craft. That's really all I have to say about it, though.
Yeah. Steph, have you played anything else this week?
Yeah, I've played a fair bit actually. I just remembered like the game I've been playing. The one that is most deserving of me talking about it, I actually didn't put on the pre-show list to let you know. But Focus Home Interactive had a game come out this week, which always gets my attention.
Yeah.
Basically, an indie game they're publishing. It's called Blacktail. It's a first-person sort of. It's not a first-person shooter. You've got a bow and arrow. Yeah, it's sort of like an action adventure, I guess. That's the best way to put it. It's based on Slavic folklore. Sort of a lot of the story revolves around, but not necessarily features Baba Yaga. It's set in this forest. You are a girl who wears a mask because of a birthmark on her face that made all the villagers distrust her, and children have gone missing. And she got the blame. Was protected by her sister, and her sister has gone missing now. So this character sets off into the forest to find her. And she's got a bow and arrow that she uses to, like, you can hunt deer, and there are various monsters like gnolls and things, just sort of very folklore-y types of monsters that you fight. Most of the game is sort of exploring and uncovering the story. What really makes it stand out is just how visually creative it is. I'm sure a lot of it is based on folklore because it's it's just mad, and that's what folklore is. It's just nonsense, like wonderful nonsense. For example, if your inventory's full and you pick up, other resources for like crafting arrows or stuff like that, they'll be kept in a bag that you can find at campfires. The bag is a toad. It's a burlap sack with a face and a mouth that croaks with little legs. And it's just brilliant. And like a lot of the NPCs are big mushrooms that have various themes to them. Like one is a very chivalrous, and it has two sort of fungus stalks coming out of it that are shaped like horse hooves, and it's got this sort of basically like a big stuffed dummy on its head of a knight riding him like a horse. The art style is incredible, like just incredible. I at least recommend like listeners like look at a trailer or something, because it's so creative. It's got moral choices in it that you actually have to suss out a little bit at first, just to make sure you sort of know what the good choice and the evil choice is. The two obvious ones are there is an ant and a little lava that appear throughout the map. And the lava is good. If you help him, you get good points. If you help the ant, you get evil points. The lava is this little put upon low-level worker for the underworld who gets into various administrative scrapes, and you help him out with advice or resources. The ant looks brilliant, has a crown, and her thorax has like a fan of swords embedded in it, like a peacock tail almost. And she's bent on world domination. And will ask you for the same sort of thing so that her ant hordes can take over the world. It's just a very charming game. It's let down by the fact that combat is shite. Bow and arrows can be a bit tricky in games, and there's no stealth really. You can't sneak up on anything, and the game loves to ambush you with enemies that will sort of burrow up out the ground, like right in front of your face. And there is some snap aiming, but it's not very good, even if you put the assist up on it. And drawing can be a bit slow. That's the biggest issue is the feeling of being ambushed. And the fact that, like, your spells aren't very good. It's frustrated me a lot because the action is kind of inadequate. And it's one of them games like Soma or something that's better when it's not adhering to we are a game, we must have action sensibilities. But despite it frustrating me a lot, I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, it's one of those games that just, when I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it. Because it's just so creative. Its world. It's got a great index as well. Like, it's got a bestiary and a write-up for everything. From every individual resource to monsters to important characters. Not only is it really good for filling out detail, it's kind of wittily written. Very cute. In terms of style and world building, this game is fantastic. It's let down a little by the sort of just the fact that it's kind of fiddly and annoying to fight and navigate. But it's just another one of those focus games where it's like, yeah, it's janky, but it's so interesting. If you're like me and Focus is publishing something makes you pay attention to it, then I would say maybe not necessarily just buy it offhand, but look at it and see if it interests you, because Blacktail is very interesting.
I mean, I know I'm in that camp where the second you mentioned it was Focus, I was like, okay, I need to at the very least look at a trailer, because
yeah,
they're more hits than misses for me in terms of their specific flavor of what they go for.
Yeah, there's a dragon that's mentioned, and it's sort of on the fence as to whether the dragon is real or not. And then you find it, and I was going to describe it, but that would be a spoiler. But the visual and the nature of what it is and how that's visually represented is brilliant. Genuinely brilliant. This game is full of things that make me look at them and think, that's just brilliant.
Neat.
It's really let down by the video game elements of the video game. But I'm still really glad I'm playing it. Like, I am thrilled that I'm playing it, even if I'm not thrilled by the game all the time. Because there's too much I'm looking at and I'm like, that's just inspired. So yeah, that's been taking a lot of my attention. It is at least worth checking out pictures and videos of, because I'm blown away by some of the visual design.
Neat. Shall we do a couple of newsy bits before we wrap up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Why not? Let's start with a fun little story here. Are either of you aware that they're making like a pro version of the PlayStation 5 controller in the vein of like the Xbox Elite controller that's been a thing for a few years?
This is the first time explicitly hearing of it, yet I am in no way shocked.
Yeah, it's called the DualSense Edge, and it has like a bunch of things like, oh, it's got back paddles on the thing, and oh, it's got fancier D-pads you can swap, all the sort of fancy stuff you expect out of we're charging you extra for a high-end controller.
So now they've got a vibrating controller that they're calling Edge. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, you are correct. Yeah.
Cool.
So this controller costs £210 here in the UK.
Youch.
But that's not even the best part. That's not even why I've put this on the docket this week. It's got worse battery life than the default controller.
Well, sure, it's packed with more features. Why, it needs to... Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be too busy working to pay for your DualSense Edge to have time to play the video game, so you really only need like a 1 to 2 hour battery life before you immediately have to go to sleep and go back to the mines.
We'll get to this in a second, but this is like 4 times more expensive than a regular PS5 controller.
Yeah.
So this came from a hands-on preview where The Verge noticed that the battery life was noticeably worse than the base controller, which was then later confirmed to them in a statement. I'm going to read you like the first bit and then the punchline. So the original bit of the statement is, the DualSense Edge wireless controller's operating time is moderately shorter than the original DualSense wireless controller. We wanted to strike a good balance between wireless operating time and delivering robust high-performance features. So, like, you know, they're trying to sell it as, oh, it's not a big deal you're paying 4 times extra for a worse battery life controller. Here's the punchline. the statement to The Verge ended by reminding people that, I mean, you could just plug it in. You could just have it plugged in, like, all the time, your new expensive wireless controller. It apparently comes with a longer braided USB cable, presumably because of this. Additionally, the longer USB braided cable is also great for competitive players who may prefer playing with wired connections to avoid wireless interference, an option which preserves battery life.
Hey, you know what? Turn it into a positive. I respect the hustle.
Yep.
That's very unfortunate. I mean, I almost exclusively use wired controllers now anyway, just because of reliability and relative expense. I know how to run cable, it's fine. But that is crazy for what is going to be a $250 controller.
Yeah, you're going to be paying more for this one controller for your PS5 than I think you would be paying for a base Nintendo Switch today.
It's half the price of the PS5.
Yeah, you could go buy a Switch for cheaper than this PS5 controller.
Wild.
Yeah.
They really think that there isn't, like, an inflationary crisis going on, don't they? Like, they really, really think that they're going to be able to keep squeezing money from people like this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So other stories we got this week. How would you like your car to be a games console that only works when you're sat, not having the car move?
That is the only way I want my car to operate as a games console. Period.
Yeah, you don't want any ability for, like, the kids in the back seat to be playing games while you're driving. You want to just be sat in a stationary car with your games up.
Not only do I think that, like, the parking brake should be force enabled whenever a video game is being played in a car, I think that if someone starts a video game in the car, the parking brake should immediately engage. And swerve hard.
Yeah, so the story here is that Teslas are getting an update so that you can play Steam, for some reason, that you can play your Steam games in a Tesla.
Well, that's better than, you know, them publishing someone else's video games and not giving them anything for it.
I mean, yeah.
Like, it's easy enough to hook up to the Steam API and, you know, negotiate with Valve to do Steam Link. They'll put Steam Link on anything. I discovered it's on the TV in my living room, which is great because my actual Steam Link device has been shoddy as hell lately.
Yeah. We talked about this a while ago. What was it, Her Story? Yeah. That Sam Barlow was offered no money to put it in a Tesla?
Yep.
So I didn't realize, like, considering that this car previously had no ability to play video games, I'm surprised to hear that apparently you can run Elden Ring on it. Why did this car have enough excess computing power sat around for Elden Ring?
Oh, I don't think it's running Elden Ring. I think it's streaming Elden Ring.
No. It's running it.
Nonsense.
So here is the claim. Apparently, any video game that will run on the Steam Deck will run at comparable settings on a Tesla. And having played it, Elden Ring will run at about 30 FPS on low settings on a Steam Deck.
Okay. I will grant you that, but the car's doing nothing else. It's stationary.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Yes, I actually, I do believe that a Tesla can have as much computing power as a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I believe the engineers at Tesla are capable of that much. Now, seeing how Teslas are catching fire, the emergency door release is, like, behind a speaker panel, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, there's some other engineering problems that they have, but I believe they could put a Steam Deck scale computer into a car, sure.
Yeah, so if you want to sit in your parked car playing 30 FPS Elden Ring, that is an option apparently available.
Boy! I would sure hate to be the guy responsible for that debacle.
Oh, I bet that's got to be the worst debacle attached to his name right now.
Oh boy! Well, yeah,
Yeah.
attached to the name of that company right now. I mean, who are we talking?
Yeah.
What are we talking
Oh.
about? It's bad. It's real bad.
Conrad, do you want to tell us about Activision and Bored Ape?
This is just an interesting thing that's happening.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose it's interesting. It is executive scuttling time, I think. All of the rats are jumping off ships.
Yeah.
In this case, it's Activision's chief operating officer. And I am trying to... Where did I put this fucking tab?
This is Daniel Allegre?
Yes.
Yes.
And he is leaving to go and be the CEO of Bored Yacht Club. Or Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Is that what they're called?
Bored Yacht Club that is the Bored Ape people, I think.
The NFTs, the fucking apes.
Yeah.
He's going to run the NFT ape company.
Are you suggesting a corporate CEO is just interested in money, as demonstrated by their move from one very greed over people obsessed company to another? Mayhaps.
I mean, that should be obvious, I think. But no, the thing I want to sort of bring up here is this guy is going from an operations officer position at, I mean, they are at this point the biggest third-party games publishing company in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think maybe Tencent owns a lot, but I don't think they're producing as much.
Yeah.
But that's the point, is that this guy has been running operations for that company. And he is now going on to a chief executive role at a very financially wealthy, relatively speaking, crypto company.
Yes.
And I think that is something to watch. I don't see a guy making a move like that with the relationships and experience that he has. Because don't get me wrong, executives move out of industries that have absolutely no relationship and into video games all the fucking time. And that goes back to, I mean, that goes back 40 years. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is something to somebody in this kind of games publishing position going to this kind of blockchain company that says that they think there's still hope for blockchain in games.
Mm.
And so I think it's worth keeping an eye out for whatever bullshit might come next. Because I do think that there is something to the idea that if we could just keep this NFT shit on the down low, if we could just be quiet about it for a little while, maybe people will forget what a fucking scam it is at its heart, and we can pretend like we've fixed the problem and reintroduce these things, and to actually make something compelling using these features or using the capabilities of the technology and try to reach a mass audience should take some time. Truly, it should. We saw a lot of waves of cheap, lazy efforts to enter the field, but I think everyone knows that if you're going to be serious about it, you're going to have to put in some investment and time, and a lot of these people are already in on their money, and the only way to get your money out is to get some other sucker to take it. So the thing that concerns me is that this could dovetail nicely with the kind of development time it would take to make a compelling product and the amount of time for the public awareness and concern and doubt around NFTs to sort of fade a bit.
I don't think it's going to be impossibly long before we get, like, the very specific flavor of NFTs trying to make a big push into video games. I feel like it's going to be something like, how do I put this? If Peter Molyneux had made Goddess and tried to sell someone as being the god of gods and goddess today, an NFT would definitely have been the thing that conferred
Absolutely.
this is how we determine you are the person.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of thing someone's going to try and do, is someone's going to try and do interesting concept that is easy to pitch as a headline that just so happens to quietly be, you get an NFT that makes that happen.
See, I don't know. I think there's enough understanding out there of them that they need to make it a show of having fixed the problem when it comes back. You know, now it's not helped when certain grifters here in the United States realize that, oh, you know what, maybe my boomer age constituents haven't heard or understood any of this technological shit, and we can still soak them. And that's going to keep the grift in the limelight for a little bit longer. But I think there is a possibility that we will. I think they're gonna try again.
Oh, undoubtedly.
You know, but I think that if it's going to work, this is a path to making that work.
Yeah. So that is that story. We got, I think, one more sort of like, we just got kind of, okay, we got one more and then it's just going to be kind of silly stories to finish this out. Not much to say about this. Do you remember Chocobo Racing GP releasing earlier this year?
Yeah.
The definitely not Mario Kart? Yeah, so that game's already dead.
Oh. No.
Yeah, so, it's not gonna be, like, unplayable. It has local content, but, already they'd been doing seasons where it's like, hey, like, do online competitions and win prizes and have, like, online rankings, and, like, this was a big part of what the game was built on. Yeah, all of that is ending, literally today. Today is when they announced it, and today it's ending. And also, you won't be able to buy any of the in-game currency anymore starting today for buying any of the in-game things that you could buy with real money. That just stops today.
Wow.
Those things that could be earned with real money will be able to be obtained now without spending real money, which I guess is good, because there is no way to spend real money on them anymore. Yeah, apparently for the people who have been playing this came out of fucking nowhere. Like, just on the day announcement, 3 p.m. Japanese time today, it's just stopping.
Wow.
And there's no real explanation as to why. I'm reading the press release. It is not going to be possible to get a refund for your purchased mithril, the in-game currency, so be sure to spend it before it expires. 3 p.m. Japan today.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know what the fuck to make of that, and I'm sure maybe in the next week we'll learn something about what the fuck's just happened there. But let's finish off on a couple of.
There is one other thing that's a little more. It's still silly. Don't get me wrong, but I did, and I don't know if you spotted it in there.
Yeah.
Relating to the Microsoft acquisition.
Oh yes, sorry, I completely forgot this was in here. Yes.
Yeah, this is interesting. There has been a new lawsuit filed. We talked last week about the FTC filing suit against Microsoft in this.
Yeah.
But now gamers are throwing their hat in the ring.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I don't know what gamers. They have described themselves as video gamers within the case as the plaintiffs.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I've read some thoughts from some people who know more about legal stuff than I do about this. The general consensus I'm seeing seems to be this is a class action lawsuit in all but name.
Yes.
From a bunch of people who are hoping for a cash payout. They are hoping that it's not worth Microsoft's time to fight it, and that they will just get some cash thrown at them to get out of the way.
Get your bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, get your bag. Good for you. If I had known about the Clayton Antitrust Act of 1914, I might have filed a suit against Microsoft too. This is not one of those situations where I expect that the people engaged in this filing, there are 10 of them, are, in any position to stick it to Microsoft's, multi-million-dollar team of lawyers. That is fucking absurd.
No.
This is silly and fun. I like that they're doing it. I think they do probably have a case that may have merit, but yeah, you're right. They're going to get a settlement if there's anything that happens here at all, because otherwise it's just going to sit and drag throughout the court proceeding until such time as Microsoft convinces a judge to dismiss it. Because that is ultimately what will happen.
Yeah. Their argument is going to boil down to, my gaming experience is going to be worse because you're taking stuff away and walling stuff off. Give me some money to say sorry because I asked you. That's what it's going to boil down to. Give me some money because I'm going to have a worse gaming experience.
Oh, well, no, I mean, no, not really, no.
I mean, not in court, but that's what it's going to boil down to. Give me some, I'm sorry that games are worse for your money.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is complicated. I don't think it is outside of the possibility, because I haven't fully read the act yet. But it is, in this case, the purpose of this act that they're filing under is to prevent companies from being able to perform anti-competitive practices.
Yeah.
So now, while ultimately, yes, the reality is that they are going to get a payday, in theory, if they get anything.
No, in court they're going to have to say that what they want is for the merger to not go through, and they're going to have to say that that's what they're fighting for, because that's what this seems to be.
That's what this is. Well, yeah, but you know what? Fine, because that's what it's for, and it should be stopped on that basis. Like, I think this is a perfectly valid application of this that will, unfortunately, because of the legal system's deference to capital, either through strong arm or other tactic, it's not going to go anywhere. But good for these people for standing up and doing that one way or another. I hope you get something out of it.
Yeah.
Unless you plan to give it to a Republican, in which case, fuck you.
Right, we got a couple of other stories. I didn't know about this until it had already happened. The developers of Goat Simulator have had to take down a trailer for Goat Simulator 3 because Take-Two was issued a takedown notice because it used leaked GTA 6 footage from that big batch of leaked footage that went around.
You'd have to know that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And props to Goat Sim 3. I would not be talking about Goat Sim 3 if they hadn't gotten their footage taken down, or their video taken down because of the leaked footage.
Yeah, they have 100% achieved the thing they were aiming for. It's been a while since companies have been this willing to go like, we're going to piss off another big company just to get some promotion in this kind of way. I feel like this used to be more of a, like in the 90s you used to get more of this.
Yeah, but this is also a more novel approach. Like, this is using the legal system and the culture to generate the hype. This isn't a matter of, Sega does what Nintendo don't. This is a background manipulation that is much more savvy, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I fucking hate it because it's awful. But yeah.
So I will say at the very least, I appreciate them putting some effort into thinking about a context to justify doing it. The short version, the trailer, was a narrative about an NPC showing off ragdolling tech that was being interviewed about there being an NPC in Goat Simulator. Only to be like, oh yeah, no, I've got other projects in the pipeline, other big game worlds. You can actually see me in some footage that was leaked a couple of months ago, as an excuse to then throw over to the GTA 6 footage. And I'm like, you put some thought in, and I'll give you that. You thought, you had a plan and someone actually put the effort into how do I do something with this idea.
Oh, you know what the next logical extension of this sort of thing is, though?
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a countersuit for the takedown on the basis of fair use because they were commenting on the footage and their marketing is art.
Yeah.
And so this, I'm not one to, I don't like slippery slope arguments, but I can see where the road might lead. And that is bleak.
Yeah. I got one last story, and I'm really hoping I've managed to that neither of you have caught this yet.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Laura, but I co-host a podcast called Let's Talk About Snacks.
Oh yeah, no.
But I have been alerted.
Yeah, no. Steph, I don't know if you're aware of this. Are you aware of the energy drink brand G Fuel?
I know the name.
They make sort of like powdered energy drinks where you just do a scoop in and put water in, like, there's your caffeine drink.
I don't touch the powdered shit.
No, you don't need to. You're aware of the concept.
There's a partnership, is what we're getting at here now, and I am keen to have Steph guess at what the partnership is with like a little bit of a clue. Okay.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to work out, is what clue do we give Steph that isn't gonna give this away?
I think we can say the parent company that owns the franchise.
Okay, yeah.
As a solid clue. Yes, it's a partnership with a popular gaming franchise owned by Microsoft for this energy drink powder.
So this character is prominently placed on the packaging going, hey, this character, energy drink.
Oh. You see, you know the link that you put in the pre-show chat that you told me not to click on?
Yeah.
The one that I said not to click on, yeah.
It had Conker in the URL. Is it Conker?
Good detective work.
It also had poo in the URL. Is it the poo from Conker?
Look, I knew I shouldn't have put it in the docket, but also I was gonna lose the link if I didn't.
You got a tiny URL, those ones that are sus.
Yeah, that's on me. That's on me.
Tell us about the poo.
So Great Mighty Poo G Fuel energy powder. It's coming. Now, if you haven't clicked on this link, could you guess at a flavor?
Chocolate.
It's not chocolate.
Passion fruit and guava.
Think about the fight with the Great and Mighty Pooh.
I never got that far in that game because it's not actually a very good game. I've seen the Great and Mighty Pooh. Like, I've seen video of it. I can't tell you how the fight goes now. It's been a while.
Well, I'm just gonna let you know. It's sweet corn flavor.
Excellent.
It's sweet corn flavor. It comes with a toy ship. It comes with a happy, arms up in the air, very excited toy ship with your sweet corn flavored poo energy drink. This isn't out for like 3 months, but there's a tiny bit of me that's like, could I reach out to them and get me to send me some? Because I've not done food and drink adjacent video game content reviews on this show in a while, and I feel like a taste test needs to happen.
It's horrifying.
It's horrifying, and I can't stop thinking about the fact it exists. I can't unknow it.
I swear I was sent a link of someone, like, talking about what it tastes like. And now I can't find it, and it's gonna haunt me. So if you want thoughts on that, listen to Let's Talk About Snacks wherever podcasts are found. Because it's on our list to talk about as first episode next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look forward to tropical corn soda.
Yeah.
Tropical is not a word that this deserves. It has not earned tropical.
They also have, they have a whole gaming Microsoft partnership thing going on. They also have a Battletoads.
Oh yeah, Zits Juice.
Zits Juice. Yeah.
Yeah. They have a whole bunch of these after varying things. They got one themed after the Twitch streamer Ninja, if you want an energy drink that hates women.
I saw someone on the Game Awards claiming to be Ninja, but they did not have blue hair, so they could not have been Ninja.
Well, of course, right?
I don't know who that imposter was, but it wasn't Ninja. That man can never be allowed to forget his hair. I want this to be clear, okay? Because it's all fun now, but he needs to remember what he looked like 30 years from now. In fact, we ought to make him have the hair again 30 years from now. Because when I think about having the hair I had at his age now, oh, the shame. The shame. But if you get that famous on the back of that hair, so much that it becomes your brand identity, you never get to leave it. That's yours forever. God, his hair is terrible.
I think that's it. We did it. We're done.
Excellent.
We done it.
We've done it for this one, the Christmas special, which mentioned Christmas a little bit in like the first 2 minutes and then moved on for business as usual, which in a capitalist society is the most Christmas thing of all. Working through the holidays. Laura, you said you're not working through the holidays, but I'm sure there's work that people can check out.
There is indeed. You can go check out my work at Laura K. Buzz in all of the places. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon. That's the one that pays the bills. I mean, the big one coming up is going to be February 16th is when Who Hunts the Whale finally releases. It's gone to the printers. We're going to be signing a bunch of them soon. It is a satirical novel set in a fictional video game development studio that definitely isn't a pastiche of all the companies we talk about here on this show. It definitely at some point in development wasn't called Electronic Actor Softworks. Go look out for that. You can pre-order it, get a signed copy if you want. I'm very proud of that book that I wrote with my wife. Just Laura K. Buzz. Go find me in all the places. Go find me doing stuff. Patreon's the one that pays the bills. If you can chuck $1 a month over there, it lets me do the thing that I do. Conrad, what about you?
Oh, well, you can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Twitter and Instagram. You could buy anti-capitalist propaganda that I make at pinfultruth.com. And audiobooks at conradreads.com. Check out my cat Tater on Instagram at One-Eyed Potato. He's real cute. And everything I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. See here. Oh, you know who else has a Patreon, Laura?
Oh, I've got a guess.
It's James Stephanie Sterling.
Yeah, it's patreon.com/Jimquisition. That's, pays all the main stuff that we do. I also stream. It's been a very reduced schedule lately, just to a number of sort of real life things getting in the way. But I stream at Twitch TV/JimSterling. I guess I'll give the current confirmed wrestling dates. One more for the end of the year, December 30th, in Sheffield at the same facility we host Spectrum. That is for True Grit Wrestling. I will be teaming up with Priscilla, Queen of the Ring again, as Queens of the Space Age. We'll be taking on one of my long-running nemesis, Nathan Black, and the terrifying Jack Maxwell. That's going to be a very good match, and that will be my last match of the year. Then on February 5th, I will be in Manchester for Sovereign Pro Wrestling, taking on Shreddy. Very, very exciting show, that one, top to bottom. Then March the 17th and 18th, I will be in Blackpool at the Flamingos venue once again for PCW, where I will be taking part in their weekend-long tournament, the Road to Glory, in the women's division. So that will be my first ever sort of official women's match, which is very interesting and exciting. Looking forward to that. I'm sure I will have more dates for you as time goes on, but those are the three current confirmations. Other than that, thank you all so much for joining us today. We will be back next week, we got one more before the end of the year, so we'll do our usual yearly wrap-up, I'm sure. We will see you then. Thank you for the support and everything, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.